AC, in the true spirit of spooky season, one of our computers was haunted tonight, thus preventing us from doing this live. It was supposed to be Scare-a-Thon Live 2025.
Friday
but
night.
Unfortunately,
Yep.
Yeah, for the old Friday Night Frights. But unfortunately,
yeah, and it completely like failed us. But anyway, I'm glad that we have technology. I'm glad that we can actually transmit. And lest we forget, this is a miracle that this is happening at all. All of this is just miraculous. So we're not standing out there, banging rocks and doing smoke signals. We're actually talking to each other live via video, via audio, and that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, even going back 10 years when I was still doing this just as an audio podcast, hooking things up to a cellular phone and trying to get mics to work. Yeah, this is all great. In another 5 years, it'll be AI holograms or something. I have no idea. But tonight, it is kind of funny that we had these tech problems because we're laughing about it. We're good sports. And tonight, we're going to laugh till we scream. That's the theme of this episode.
I like it.
Instead of our annual Scare-a-Thon being all about the scares, we're going to look at some. One is going to be a parody of slasher films. Wait a second. It says that we're live. We've got one viewer. I don't know if we're actually live or not. This is weird. So we'll see.
If that viewer would like to put a comment in, so we know that.
Yeah, if you want to confirm, because this might be. Yeah,
this is exciting.
Maybe because I switched it at the last second, maybe it's like, no, you're going on without a net. So we'll give this a shot. But so anyhow, we're going to be looking at Scary Movie from the year 2000, and then also what is rumored to be one of the worst movies ever made, Bill Rebane's Monster A Go-Go from 1965. I can't wait to talk to you about that movie because I am severely disappointed. It is bad. I feel like I've seen worse, but I can't think of what those are.
Yeah. Well, I think it all also comes down to what you consider bad. Like some people enjoy different levels of bad. And I'm looking forward to chatting about it as well.
Okay. Let's start with, well, first of all, because it's Scare-a-Thon, we should tell people what this year's worthwhile cause is. It's the International Rescue Committee, otherwise known as IRC. Down below, I've linked to the direct Scare-a-Thon IRC kind of partnership page, but also a link to your blog post where you kind of outline what IRC does, why you've partnered with them, what Scare-a-Thon means to you this year and hopefully to other folks. But since I don't want people pausing to read during our conversation, AC, could you just give us the rundown?
Well, International Rescue Committee, they are exactly what they sound like. They provide help where help is needed. They've been around for almost 100 years. I found out recently that they were founded in part by Albert Einstein, a group of humanitarians. So, they were founded by some smart people, and they have been working all over the world. They've worked in over 40 countries, providing help where help is needed. And that can be in the form of food, clean drinking water, education, housing, basically whatever the need is, they provide it. And they've been all over the world. And right now, some of their efforts are, they're in the Ukraine, they're in Gaza, they're wherever people are in need of help right now. And so it felt like a really worthy opportunity to engage with them at a time when the world seems like it might be falling apart. How can we bring the world together? This seemed like a really good way to do that.
All right. Well, excellent. And folks, you can donate directly via the link below. We were planning, had this been the live stream, to donate all the super chats to IRC. I don't actually know if we are live right now. So I'll just say, if there's any revenue that I can track that comes in from this show, once it goes up, I will donate those pennies and also pitch in my own contribution as well, as I do every year, and I'm proud to do so. And thank you, AC, for putting this together and for inviting me to go along in this Scare-a-Thon journey every year. It's been a blast.
Well, it's funny because this show is actually one of the rare times that this is a reflection of Scare-a-Thon's past, because what I'm doing this year, instead of doing kind of my 31 movies in 31 days and talking about them, I'm doing getting people together to hang out and talk about themselves. And it's more about kind of community this year. You and I have a conversation that'll be going up later this month as well. So I'm actually kind of like, this feels like, oh, wow, I remember this. I remember hanging out and talking about movies because we've just been talking about, we met up with the Losers Club, Stephen King podcast, talked with the Icons of Fright folks, folks from Lugosi Theater, folks from the Chicago International Film Festival and Horrorama. It's been a great month of just hanging out and having conversations, but it's actually fun to just kind of zero in on a movie again. So, and this time we get a double feature. So that's awesome.
Yes. One real movie and then Monster a Go-Go.
Somebody trying to make a movie.
Dealer's choice. Do you want to talk scary movie first or Monster a Go-Go?
Let's go chronologically.
Okay.
Also, I'm just really intrigued by why you wanted to see Monster a Go-Go, because you, sir, were warned. And I don't even know that you're a big Bill Rebane fan. So I was wondering what the attraction was.
Here's the thing, and I'm talking about going out on a wire here. I can't recall if I've seen a Bill Rebane film. I know the name. I know he did the giant spider invasion, which I haven't seen, but it had like a big anniversary thing. I know Mark Krawczyk, our mutual friend, went to see that recently. But tell me some other Bill Rebane titles that I might have seen.
The Alpha Incident, Twister's Revenge, Demons of Ludlow. What's the Blood Harvest? Invasion from Inner Earth.
No, Blood Harvest sounds familiar, but I don't know. I can't say
that's a slasher movie with Tiny Tim.
Then I have not seen it.
Tiptoe Through the Tulips, that guy.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Blood Feast by Herschell Gordon Lewis.
Different movie.
And if you look at IMDb, Herschell Gordon Lewis is mentioned as co-director on this film, but right. I didn't even see his name in the credits unless I slept through them, as I did a lot of this film.
No. Herschell Gordon Lewis apparently had a hand in tinkering with it. And Herschell Gordon Lewis, who has made many a schlocky gore fest, said, I could take any movie and find a good movie in there. And he said, except for this one. he's like, there's no good movie in here. I can't find the good movie.
I can find the good movie in here, and it was made 10 years prior to this.
And it was called the Quatermass Experience.
It's called the Quatermass Experience, and that's what this movie needed. It needed a Dr. Quatermass. It is essentially that same film. A space capsule falls to Earth. The person who is piloting it comes back, and he's got, in this case, it's like radiation that has mutated him. In Quatermass, it was an actual alien entity, but kind of same thing. He's stumbling around America or wherever the radius is, bothering people, hurting people. He's kind of tortured and doesn't know what's going on. The military gets involved. There's scientists, there's lab coats. There is a resolution. This film, since we are just kind of diving in, it's a 10-minute movie stretched out to an hour and 8 minutes. That's the best way I can describe it. It's an extended trailer that someone unfortunately made into a quote-unquote feature-length film. Again, I can't say that it's the worst movie I've ever seen, partially because I had so much trouble paying attention. It is very much a wash the dishes, it's a clean out your inbox kind of a movie. Not that you're going to miss anything, because there are so many shots of people driving Jeeps, army Jeeps, planes landing and taking off. There's an extended scene of not a person walking down a dark corridor, but literally the bottom of a lab coat walking creepily down a corner. When I say creepily, it's just dark. There's no music. There's no atmosphere. What is this movie, AC?
I can't. Again, why did you pick this movie? This is actually featured on the Arrow box set, Weird Wisconsin, which is a box set of Bill Rebane movies. Giant Spider Invasion, unfortunately, is not included in that. And I do think that that's probably his best, most fully realized movie. But, Bill Rebane is like kind of an independent superstar. He's a Wisconsin filmmaker, and he really did just make it his way. Like, he created his little ranch in Wisconsin that became the Shooting Ranch. And he shot a ton of, he also, The Capture of Bigfoot is also a Bill Rebane movie that's quite entertaining.
That's another one that I've never heard of. Sorry, go ahead.
But you should. I mean, there are some Bill Rebane movies, but he also is just really just kind of the can-do spirit. And this is not a great example of his filmmaking skill. I think this is him learning how to make a movie. And like many experiments, maybe this one didn't necessarily need to see the light of day. I love how Cronenberg, he talks about how Crimes of the Future and Stereo were never meant to be seen by a wide audience. They were him like figuring out how to make a movie. But then they got released, and he's kind of like, I mean, I guess if you want to look at that, fine. But I feel like that's kind of where Bill Rebane was at. He's like, I'm learning how to make a movie. And, so little of this movie is actually made of stock footage. Like so much of this is stuff that Bill Rebane actually shot. He arranged with Chicago to have their sanitation vehicles and their law enforcement. And, like he made a movie. And as you said, it's not a very engaging movie. It's a very familiar movie. I mean, it feels like he's making a 50s sci-fi movie in 1965 with no money at all. And you go, it feels like an experiment. It feels like he's figuring it out. I know this has been featured on Mystery Science Theater, and I wondered if maybe that's where you had first heard about it.
And we had talked about this as we were planning for the show, because I feel like you've kind of questioned me and cautioned me against watching and discussing this movie like 5 times since I brought it up. And I appreciate it. It's like a pre-addict intervention, which I love. But I want to say it was Kitley. I feel like John Kitley at some point, maybe during one of our Academia Giallos or backstage, it had come up, and I was like, oh, what's that? And someone threw down the gauntlet of worst movie ever made, or one of the worst. And for me, I love bad films. I don't always appreciate sitting through them, but it's always good to know where the bar is, so that if someone especially comes out and says, oh, this is the best movie ever made, or this is the worst movie ever made, I'm like, well, you haven't seen XYZ.
Right. Have you seen Beast of Yucca Flats?
No.
Okay. That's with Tor Johnson. And in some ways it reminds me a lot about a lot of this movie, except for that movie is just more outrageous, like in terms of the dialogue and the narration, and like just how quickly events unfold. And it's also, I think, been featured on Mystery Science Theater. But this one, I feel like, doesn't quite go crazy enough. It doesn't fall down hard enough. It just feels like it's a really sincere effort at making a 50 sci-fi movie. And there's a part of me that just like, that's very endearing, but I don't think it's very entertaining. And I think that's why you get cautioned against it. Cause it's like, if you're going to watch a quote bad movie, we call these turkeys, these are the things that John Kitley and I will watch twice a year, where we sit down and just plow through like 6 or 7 of them. But this is a kind, and this has been featured at Turkey Day, but it's not like a, punch you in the face kind of turkey where you're like, wow, they just didn't know what they were doing. It's somebody who was just kind of figuring it out.
And that's one of the reasons I can't call this, for me, one of the worst movies ever made, because you kind of knocked the filmmaking. I'm not gonna do that because it doesn't look expensive, but there are times I'm thinking, wow, how did this guy get all these army trucks? And
that's right.
I don't know how much of that, say, the airplane footage, because you've got like military planes landing and taking off and people, greeting them, and like officials coming on and off and talking to the scientists. I mean, that all looks really good. And it's stuff that if you're trying to make a movie today, you'd have to be like, well, maybe I can generate something with AI, because I'm not going to get military help for this. It's just that, and the performances are dry, but earnest is a great word. It's just, there's no excitement. There's no oomph. There's no monster. This thing is called Monster A Go-Go. And we get all of, I'm going to say, less than a minute of screen time of this creature. He kind of stumbles out of the woods. He's, puts his hands on a guy and irradiates him. But even that is just like, you cut to him lying in the grass and he's got some bad makeup on. You see him stumbling through the sewers at the very end while being pursued by army folks in radiation gear. But we see him, and then we get helpful narration man saying,
That's right.
oh, and then there was an alert, and then someone gets a very important memo, and then the memo says that the pilot of the capsule is actually discovered several thousand miles away in like the ocean or something. So who or what was this monster? I'm like, so the big confrontation happens, and he basically tells us the monster is not the monster, and oh, it disappeared, and now we get to see it walking through space or something. Maybe it's still on Earth. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. The screenplay feels like it was written by a monster kid of the age of, 7. It's like, and then they disappeared. And it's like, that's okay. Yeah. I agree. I think there's a lot of production value in this. I don't, I mean, you talk about filmmaking skill. I think that's what I think about when I think of skill is, yes, recording images and recording them so that they look okay. But then there's also like creating dramatic drive to your narrative. And I think that's where Bill Rebane hadn't figured that out yet. He does. I mean, if you look at some of his other movies, like Rana, the Creature of Shadow Lake, like that's a fun creature feature. Giant spider invasion, very fun. So like he learned how to get some action in his movies.
I'm reminded of George Carlin at the end of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, where Bill and Ted are playing their guitars because they've gotten Wild Stallions back together, and they're terrible. And George Carlin just looks at the camera and says, "They get better."
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'm also reminded of a line from Beanie and Cecil, the old cartoon show. A movie so bad it couldn't have been released, it must have escaped. And I think that is the case here with our Monster a Go-Go. Oddly enough, there is a go-go kind of, not go-go dancers, but there's a crazy hippie college kids dancing at a party apropos of nothing for like 3 minutes. It just happens. And why
don't you get the sense that like this is Bill Rebane going, well, kids like the dancing, I've seen it in those other movies, they have those scenes, I will put it in my movie as well. And then that's real. It feels again like somebody who's going, I saw this in a movie, I'm going to put it in my movie.
Well, the only thing I got out of it is the Friday the 13th connection.
Oh,
because
thank God.
Yeah, I know. Take a shot, everyone. So from what I can remember, and I watched this movie today, and it's still like leaving my mind.
Yeah.
2 people leave that dancing party and they go out to the car, and then they drive away and they pull over to make out.
Yes.
Of course, there's narration, I think, over that too. And then they get attacked by the monster, and they both end up dead. So that reminds me of the opening of Friday the 13th. There's the kind of the kumbaya thing, and the 2 go sneak off to the loft, and they get attacked by Mrs. Voorhees. Spoiler alert.
What?
I know, sorry. But yeah, it's a very odd film. I disagree with Herschell Gordon Lewis. I think there is a good movie in here, but as we mentioned, it was already made 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
I can't get down on this movie too much. I'm glad I watched it. I can't recommend it to anybody except just to say, hey, here's what people were capable of back in the 1960s. It wasn't all like cheesy cardboard sets. I mean, production value, that's another great phrase here. This movie looks really good. Some of the camera work is a bit dodgy. There's a scene in a restaurant or an eatery with some sciencey folks sitting around discussing things that looks almost like it was shot from like another table over. It's at a weird angle, and the people are sitting at weird angles, so you can't really see them. It's obnoxious, and they hold on that. Bill Rebane is very Kevin Smith, or maybe Kevin Smith is very Bill Rebane. Set up your camera and just let it go for like 3, 10, 40 minutes. Yeah.
But I think for those who become Bill Rebane fans, and I think if you see enough of his other movies, you certainly can become a Bill Rebane fan. I mean, Arrow Video certainly thought well enough of him to put a box set together around his work. So I think it's a nice opportunity to visit humble beginnings. And in some ways, I find that inspiring. I'm like, well, if that guy had a career making movies and this was his first movie, then I can't be too hard on my first movie. And it allows me to go, you know what? Okay, I'm going to make my first not great movie, and then I'll get better from there on out.
It is a great gauntlet piece. Like he threw it down and say, "Hey, I made this. What can you do?"
Right.
And if you say, "I can make something better than that in my sleep," then it's like, well, prove it and go do
Yeah,
something with it.
exactly.
And also, I love that you say that he kind of built a ranch or this kind of like sound stage or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it out in
Yeah.
Wisconsin. It reminds me of Robert Rodriguez. I mean, there are people who wittingly or not, sort of followed in the footsteps of some of these kind of pioneers. Yeah, it's great.
I'm not going to propose that we do a Bill Rebane like series. I don't think, I'm not sure that you're ready for that. But I would highly recommend, us sit down sometime and watch Giant Spider Invasion, either for the show or just for fun, because it's a hoot.
I don't know.
Do you have a reticence to seeing Giant Spider Invasion?
No,
Oh, okay.
not really. I
I
like
think
spiders.
you are the definition of reticence. So I just have to say,
No, it's this day. It's the haunted computers. It's the technology that kind of refuses to work. I'm having a horror movie moment myself. Instead of like going through each of the dark rooms with a flashlight, I'm like, okay, is this gonna be the moment where something blips out? It's horrible.
could be.
And I'm trying to focus. So yeah, you asked me about Giant Spider Invasion. I went off in a jag about Hallmark movies. I'm fried, AC.
All right. Well, you know what you need is a nice, big, tall glass of Giant Spider Invasion, and that will set you right.
I thought you were going to say a nice big glass of Scary Movie as a transition to our next film, but uh, I'll go with it.
Like,
Spider
you know
Invasion.
what? I could say, you know what you need is a nice big glass of Scary Movie, and that'll help you forget about Monster a Go Go.
I'm not even going to edit that part out. We're going to
I
leave in the
That's why I
messiness.
gave it to you.
Well, thank you. Anyhow, Scary Movie, the year 2000. Um, it's
25
very
years ago.
25 years ago, yeah. 2000 was a big year for movies and for me. Another one of my favorite movies came out that year, Requiem for a Dream. Guess that's one of my
Wow.
favorite movies. It's a
Oof.
it's a feel-good family hit. Um, my mother, I watched it with her because like you got to watch this movie. It's amazing. And after it was over, I want to try and keep this somewhat family friendly. The first thing she said when the movie ended, she looked at me and she said, "F you."
I said, what did I ever
Um,
do to you? Why do you hate me so much? So
yeah.
quick tangent, because Requiem for a Dream is truly one of the scariest movies I had ever seen. Like, I watched it as a midnight screening, and I came out of that and I was like, I need an encounter group like right now. Like, and nobody else I knew had seen it, because why would anybody I know go and see that? Uh, yeah, it brilliant movie, and that's amazing that that's 25 years old as well.
I think I paid to see that 4 times in the theater.
Wow.
Knocked my socks off. And also, it's very easy to forget that Jared Leto was once a very talented and promising actor, and now he's just in comic book movie and Disney slop. Um, but anyhow, it's also easy to forget that Scary Movie, it was, I think, pretty great. I'm not going to say groundbreaking because it was Keenan Ivory Wayans following the Zucker Abrams Zucker template of Airplane from a couple decades earlier. He had made his own stamp within Living Color, which was kind of brilliant, revolutionary, variety show TV a few years earlier. But this movie gave birth to a slew of terrible sequels and even spin-offs. There was like Scary Movie, I think 5 or 6 they got up to, and then there was Epic Movie, and
Mm.
Not Another Teen Movie was pretty good. Um,
Was
but
that
it
the
all started.
Wayans? Did they have anything to do with that, or that was just something that got inspired by them?
I don't know. I was thinking I was going to look that up before the show, and I totally forgot.
Sorry to
Um,
out you.
nah, it's okay. Have you ever seen Not Another Teen Movie?
I have not. I haven't seen any of those movies you just mentioned. However, I have seen "I'm Going to Get You, Sucker," and that's his riff on blaxploitation movies.
Yeah, and that was in 1988. And that was more in the vein of like what Robert Townsend was doing with Hollywood Shuffle,
Yep.
which Keenean Ivory Wayans. There was all the kind of like creative group, intermixing their projects and stuff at that time. And because In Living Color was, I think, 89 or 90. And then
That
we
sounds
flash
right.
forward 10 years and they'd done other stuff together in the interim. But this like really took off as a smart parody of the slasher movie renaissance with Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. By the time you got to Scary Movie 5 or 6 or whatever they did, it's almost like a Mad Magazine mashup all crammed into one, and it's not funny and none of it works. Whereas I think the brilliance of Scary Movie is much like Airplane, it's a regular movie that is it's parodying other films, but it still has a through line with like consistent characters and absurdity mixed in. You hadn't seen this since 2000,
That is
right?
correct. That is correct.
I hadn't seen it in quite a long time. And I'll just say that big screen mainstream comedy has changed quite a bit in the ensuing 25 years. I still think Scary Movie is very funny, but it's a cliche to say that, oh, you couldn't make that today. Like they say that about Blazing Saddles and all that stuff. You
Right.
really could not, I don't think, make Scary Movie today.
That is absolutely what I was thinking as I was watching it. I was like, wow, like inappropriate. But I think, and this is kind of going back to I think Blazing Saddles is a great example because it's knowingly inappropriate.
Yes.
I don't think it thinks that when it's poking fun at certain populations, that that's okay. I think it knows that it's doing that intentionally and saying, we're being inappropriate here, but we're going to be inappropriate to a lot of people here. So
Yeah.
it's an equal opportunity offender, kind of a South Park mentality. So
Very much,
yeah,
yeah.
I was kind of like watching it and going, you know, I'm uncomfortable, but I think I'm supposed to be uncomfortable. I think I'm supposed to recognize that you're not supposed to say that. You're not supposed to do that. And in that regard, I was okay with it. Again, I'm not also part of any of the demographics that were being targeted, other than just being one dumb white guy.
Well, I will say the one line that always gets me is I'm trying to find his character's name. Sean Wayans played one of the
Oh,
basically
the handsome football
yeah,
jock.
yeah, because damn it, what was his name? A lot of
Scroll
these
way
people
down.
are named after like Brady Bunch characters, which was great. But essentially, his Cindy, played by Anna Faris. This was like the movie that kind of put her on the map.
Yeah.
She's having trouble with her boyfriend Bobby, and Sean Wayans' character is Bobby's best friend, and he very much has a crush on Bobby. It's this kind of repressed gay theme that's throughout the entire film. And they're in the cafeteria together, and she says, "If you see Bobby, can you tell him I love him?" And he says, "Yes. If I see Bobby, I'll tell him that I love him."
Is it Greg? Is that his name?
It
Now I
might
got
it might
now
be
I gotta
it
look
might
it
be
up.
Greg. Yeah, you're probably right because of Bobby, Cindy, Greg, that all checks out.
Yeah, see,
Um,
I gotta look this up now. But yes, I also I was like, Anna Faris is got dark hair in this movie. It was
yeah.
weirding me out. I was like, wait a minute, you're not blonde.
But yeah, essentially it opens with a parody of Scream, except it's Carmen Electra instead of Drew Barrymore, but Carmen Electra is playing a character named Drew. She gets the scary call at the house and she's tormented and chased through the front yard, but of course she's stripped down to her lingerie and running through a sprinkler. I mean, that was in the trailers.
Yep.
Even when the ghost face killer stabs her through the chest, he pulls out this giant rubbery implant and he's kind of grossed out by it. It's wild. It feels fresh even 25 years later. I can't remember how many times I've seen this movie. It's probably a dozen in my lifetime, but I haven't watched it in such a long time that, much like Blazing Saddles, it's something that you can come back to. And it's, even if you're not laughing out loud, you're like, this is really clever and smart and well put together.
Yeah, and again, I go, yes, there are moments that are discomforting. And I think again, that's the aim, is to show you something that you're like, ooh, I that's funny, but I shouldn't be laughing at that, but it's funny. And when you talk about I mean, Blazing Saddles is, of course, better if you know Western cliches. Airplane is better if you know airport disaster movie cliches. And Scary Movie is infinitely better if you're familiar with, like you said, Scream, and I don't know what you did last summer, and all of those movies that kind of came in that slasher renaissance of the late 90s. So I love the fact that they did their homework and that they're referencing things, and you're going, wow, this is so much better. But if you, much like Airplane, if you've never seen Airport, you can still enjoy Airplane. And I think that's to Scary Movie's credit, is even if you haven't seen Scream, it gives you enough characters and setup that you go, I can follow this. And then maybe you come back to Scream and you go, oh, that's where Scary Movie got all of that from.
So yeah, I rewatched I Know What You Did Last Summer. I rewatched all of them because a few months ago they had that weird reboot remake thing. And
How
so I
was
was
that, by the
reminded
way?
it was intermittently good,
Okay.
and it ended terribly. I mean,
Okay.
it was one of those films that if it stopped 7 minutes earlier, it would have not been completely redeemed, but it would have been fun enough for me to say, yeah, it's worthwhile. But there's that classic scene from the original where Jennifer Love Hewitt is screaming at the killer who's nowhere around. What are you waiting for, huh? And the camera kind of pulls out and she's twirling around in her tank top saying, what are you waiting for? Come get me. They recreate that here in Scary Movie, except there's the conceit of there's a guy who's getting ready to jump off a building to his death, and there's a crowd down below saying, don't do it, don't do it. And then completely separately, she's frustrated at the killer, so she starts screaming that the guy on the top of the building thinks that he's being encouraged to jump, and he does. I think there's an oops moment or something like that. There's a lot of that weirdness here. But yeah, I've never seen Airport 77 or any of the Airport films, but I've seen Airplane a dozen times. And I love that movie. I'm looking forward to watching Airport so I can finally see, oh, that was the origin of this bit.
I can't wait to watch you watch Airport and especially Airport 75. Airport 75 is such an amazingly terrible, awesome movie.
Is it better than Monster A Go-Go?
It is, because it's never not entertaining.
But yeah, I even appreciated that the Wayans brothers kind of incorporated like other genre films that were big at the time, like Matrix. They did the bullet time thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think they were sort of the cutting edge of parodying that early on, because a lot of other genre movies started using bullet time techniques and it became kind of a parody of itself. I feel like this movie, if it had come out a little bit later, it really would have been able to zero in and make fun of that kind of technique. But at that point, it was just like, oh, this is something cool that's in this popular movie that we can recreate and kind of tweak a bit. But the scene that always got me is Cindy and Bobby, who on the Brady Bunch were siblings. So this makes it all the more disturbing. But in the movie, they're just boyfriend and girlfriend. They finally have sex. And the climax of that scene is almost like The Exorcist meets Johnny Depp's death in Elm Street mixed with white bodily fluids. It is something to behold. And I was amazed, even in 2000, watching this in a Cineplex, that they were able to show that in even an R-rated movie.
Yeah. I'd forgotten about so many things about this movie. And yes, that whole scene is insane. You're like, wow, like the whole 70s reference. I was like,
with the weed whacker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, I love Anna Faris in this movie, and I think this was the first time I had seen her in anything. And I was like, she's so funny. Like she's a beautiful woman, but she's also just not afraid to look stupid and like just make weird faces, make weird noises, constantly poke fun at herself. And I'm like, it's just so adorable. I think her character is so hilarious, and I'm glad that she got a career out of it.
Well, it's in a similar vein. I mentioned this earlier, but Not Another Teen Movie, which came out a few years after this. I don't remember if it was around the same time as the Fantastic Four films from that era or if it was before. But that was the movie where Chris Evans really popped because he played the kind of the stereotypical teen movie jock boyfriend guy.
Okay.
The Freddie Prinze Jr. type character. And he is really funny. He is the Anna Faris of that movie. So Not Another Teen Movie is really, really worth it. Because whoever made that, I can't remember, I'm sorry. They did their homework on that genre. Everything from, she's all that to like the cliche of the slow clap in all those movies, to the black best friend. They do everything that is uncomfortable about classic, rom-coms and teen sitcom movies, much like the Wayans did here. Was there anything that you watched Scary Movie today and thought, I don't think this works, or maybe I thought it worked in 2000, but it doesn't work today, beyond like the politically incorrect stuff?
Sure. Well, I mean, that's the scene I was thinking about is our gym teacher, where
Miss Man, yes,
yeah, Miss Man. I was like, well, scrotums are just inherently funny. Now, the fact that it's a guy who could be seen at transition, I feel like, especially these days, that's a tougher road to ride. But in terms of just the weird gross out aspect of it, I'm like, this is funny. It's wrong, but it's funny.
Yeah, that's actually something I was thinking of watching that scene, because I feel like to call it a person in transition, I don't even know if that was on the Wayans' mind in 2000.
Right.
This is very clearly my interpretation, and it makes it even more kind of wrong, is it's just a man who's posing as a woman to become the coach of the girls' gym class. Because when Cindy walks to Miss Mann's office,
right,
what is Miss Mann doing? She's turned around at her desk, like doing a full Dennis Hopper inhale of a pair of like girls' underwear.
Right. But I also, I guess I've known enough women who have transitioned that are also into women. And so that didn't strike me as weird.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly more, I guess, socially acceptable to think in those terms and not as something that is like the subject of pure like freakish mockery as it would have been in 2000, which is, I think that's there are a couple of like those areas that we've kind of discussed that 25 years ago there was again, not a meanness to it, but certainly a lack of, I guess, sensitivity. And it was something like, yeah, we can make fun of that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, things have definitely changed.
You did mention the sequels, and I feel like Scary Movie 2, as you say, it's not as sharp a satire or a spoof. It just starts to get a little grab baggy. But I enjoyed it far more than when the Zucker, I think it's David Zucker, took over for Scary Movie 3. And it basically turned it into a toothless spoof movie. Whereas this one has teeth. Like this one is just like, it's taking risks and it's like outrageous. And you're like, oh, wow, you went there. Okay. I wasn't expecting that. And I think that's the thing that continues to resonate, is that it does go places and you don't expect it's going to go there, and it does.
Right. And I think part of that is because by Scary Movie 3 and 4 and 5 and the other parody movies, I think it started coming out around that time. It really was just like, hey, what's the popular movie right now? What can we make fun of in a sort of Mad TV 30-second skit, but like weave 1,000 of those into a 90-minute movie so that none of it even makes sense or hangs together? Scary Movie, as ridiculous as it is, hangs together, even though it does also inject other bits of movie into it. Like there's a scene where the Gale Weathers type character from Scream, our weather person played by Cherry O'Terry, she's out with her cameraman shooting up at like Lover's Lane, talking to a girl who's about to become killed. She's about to
Become
die.
killed. That's what you said.
Right. And our killer shows up and they do this seamless transition from interviewing this girl to the killer shows up to, oh, we've got to run, to a pitch perfect parody, pardon the alliteration, of the Blair Witch Project.
Yep.
And I still don't know how it was probably CG, I imagine, but it was so seamless, of the up the nose shot of the snot like gushing down into the camera, but it looks like it's actually coming out of her nose.
Cherry O'Terry is so goddamn funny in this. She just kills me. I mean, I always enjoyed her on Saturday Night Live, but I just love seeing her bring that manic energy to this gale weather. Or what's the
something thunderstorm,
something hailstorm or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, she's just so funny. And someone I don't think is funny is Marlon Wayans, or Sean Wayans. Which one's the one that plays Shorty?
Marlon. Yeah.
Marlon Wayans.
He was also in Requiem for a Dream.
Yes. And I love him in that, but I don't find him funny. I find him obnoxious, but I think that they also know that he's the obnoxious character who isn't funny. But we're going to put a lot, although the what's up business is actually kind of funny.
Talk about a flashback to an obscure beer commercial reference. I think Marlon Wayans is funny in this movie only because he pops up every once in a while. He's like the interstitial kind of comic relief. The one thing I had never noticed before, and possibly because it sticks out now more than it did back in 2000, and it has to do with our Gale Weathers stand-in, Cherry O'Terry. I think it's the first time we see her. She's doing an interview outside the high school because, there are murders happening. There's a plaque on the wall outside the school that says established 2017. This is a movie that came out in 2000.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a great parody. I think it still holds up. Might be shocking to some people who've never seen this or any kind of movie like it. But yeah, no complaints about Scary Movie. It'd be nice to see not necessarily a revival of this, although I think I've heard there might be some talk of doing another version. But just a smart, satirical, outrageous comedy again. That'd be refreshing.
Well, and one that is not afraid to just go there and take those big risks, take those swings, much like Airplane did. Like Airplane has some pretty risque and weird stuff in it, but because it's happening a mile a minute, if one doesn't land or one's like, hey, that was a little much, you're already on to the next joke. And I think that's one of the things that Scary Movie has for it, is it moves. And it does feel like everybody's in on the joke. It doesn't feel mean, to me at least. Like when Carmen Electra is clearly like saying, yes, I've had plastic surgery, and yes, I've played these bimbos. It's like I think it sets the stage pretty nicely for, this is the kind of movie we're making, is that everybody's in on the joke here. Yeah.
And I think that's the very important kind of context. Plus, she's not like fully naked in the movie. Right. It doesn't quite cross that boundary into exploitation. And I really did. I think Shannon Elizabeth, who kind of came to prominence the year before in American Pie, her death scene is just great. It's almost like the Black Knight from Monty Python, just getting completely hacked up and complaining the entire time, even when her head is shoved into the garbage bin and the killer is exasperated, like, what is going on here?
Yeah. I was not unhappy to revisit this. So thanks for recommending it, and thanks for highlighting 25 years. I will also say, I think the opening scene of Scary Movie 2 with James Woods as the exorcist.
Oh, I haven't watched that movie since it came out. So
I think that is really funny. And I've only seen it the one time, but I remember going, that was funny. And the rest of the movie doesn't come anywhere near to how funny that scene is. But I really, really dug that.
I'll have to go back and look that scene up because I remember it being a thing now that you mention it, but I don't remember anything about it. But it was also, probably 23 years ago.
That's right.
But all right, AC, I think we've done our anniversary due diligence, 1965 and 2000. Crazy to
Wow.
think.
Yep.
But yeah, once again, I want to mention the International Rescue Committee. That's our cause of choice this year for the Scare-a-Thon. Folks can learn more about that organization and how Horror 101 with Dr. AC is getting involved with them via the link below. You can also donate. As I mentioned, anything that we make off of this episode will be going to them as well. So tell all your friends. Let's boost those numbers and all that good stuff. But AC, I want to thank you for coming on this show, but also for continuing to do the Scare-a-Thon and finding new ways to keep it kind of fresh this year with these conversations with other people who are in the space. It's a really cool idea. Anything you want to say before we head out? Anything you want to promote or talk about or get excited about for scary season?
I'm just really excited that we have been able to continue to do this. I can't remember when we started collaborating on Scare-a-Thon episodes, but it's just something I look forward to every year. And I know we did a lot more of them in 2020 when everything was kind of shut down. And as we've gotten busier and busier and life returns to normal and then tipping over into abnormal once again, I'm really thankful for these opportunities to just hang out and share the scare with you. So thanks for creating the space so that we could do that, and also thanks for supporting the Scare-a-Thon all these years. It's been delightful, and it's nice to have an ally.
Yes. Couldn't have said it better myself, and I didn't because you did. So yeah, we're gonna get out of here, folks. Hope you've enjoyed this show, which was not live, but certainly it was lively. So yes, please again support the Scare-a-Thon. Find out all the information down below. If you like the show, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. All that business. Check out AC's work at Horror 101 with Dr. AC. Information is down below as well. And yeah, there'll be more scares and fun shows coming up on both of our channels throughout the rest of the month. So until next time, whenever that is, whatever that is, thank you very much and take care. Hey everyone, Ian here. I know, long time no see, but if you like the video you just watched, feel free to subscribe to Kicking the Seat right here, and also check out the playlist and recommended video right here. Thanks for watching.